Good afternoon. My name is Arthur Warren. I'm in the Criminal Justice 345 serial murders at Thomas University. My presentation for today is on Lynn Turner. Lynn Turner is an American convicted female serial killer who is also known as the antifreeze killer. I chose Lynn Turner for the simple fact that after reading her case study, I thought it was interesting how she was able to perform and kill her victims in a manner in which it appeared to be natural causes. They died of natural causes, and it went undetected for many years until it was found out that she had poisoned them. For us female serial killers, there are far less serial killers than there are males. Female serial killers can go undetected much longer and much easier than their male counterparts. Female serial killers, they kill for power and profit rather than sex and pleasure like their male counterparts. Also, they are less likely to torture their victims as a male, would, leaving evidence that can be tracked down to them. Lynn Turner, she was born as Julia Lynn Womack. She was basically adopted 5 days after she was born by a woman in Cumming, Georgia, named Helen Womack. She moved in and stayed with them, whereas they lavished her and basically spoiled her rotten while they had her until she turned age 5, in which they started having family problems and ended up divorcing. Lynn was unable to deal with her new stepfather as a teenager, and therefore she turned into a life of drugs and ended up having to be put in a rehab early for drug abuse. While in rehab, she fell in love with law enforcement and the uniform, and decided that what she wanted to pursue as she got older as an adult. She basically worked as an undercover civilian position while she was when she moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, as an working with an undercover narcotic unit for many years until she moved to Cobb County, back to Georgia. In Cobb County, she became a 911 dispatcher. Working as a dispatcher, she tried for a position in Metro Atlanta as a police officer, but she was turned down for the job basically because she couldn't pass a psych eval. Still wanted to be in a uniform. She would work or go to these police bars where a lot of officers and stuff hung out, where she met her first husband, Glenn Turner. The two finally met after she pursued him after several months. They finally met, and unbeknownst the fact that many of his friends and family didn't want him to marry her, they ended up getting married almost the same year. Trying to maintain her lavish lifestyle and keep her happy and stuff, he basically had to take on a second job because they were running out of money and having money problems and stuff like that. So when the money started running short, basically she started running away from him. After he found out that it might be some infidelity in the relationship, he decided that he basically wanted to move out and not be in a marriage anymore. But while they was in the marriage, he put her as a person on his life insurance policy. And when he stated that he was going to move out, he later started having stomach problems and flu-like symptoms, and was taken to the emergency room. They could never find what was wrong with him, and basically he succumbed from his illness and died. Well, after he died, she ended up getting a life insurance policy and basically moved back to Cumming, Georgia, where she grew up. Harris basically started living in an apartment until she met her second husband, which was Randy Thompson. Randy Thompson was a police officer in Cummins, and less than a year after they met, they had a daughter named what was her name? Amber. My bad. After Amber was born, they also had a son named Blake that was born later on. So on her second marriage, she ended up having 2 kids by her husband. But again, he started running into money problems, and Mr. Thompson ended up taking a job as a fireman, which basically wasn't making that much money, and they later ended up separating, where he told him he was going to divorce her in the same pattern that she did the first time when she made sure that she was on his insurance policy, and he ended up starting having the same symptoms that Mr. Turner had, stomach problems, difficulty in keeping food down, and later on having flu-like symptoms. And he also succumbed to his death. Basically afterwards, both people started in the neighborhood, in the community, as well as their family member, thought there was something with the fact that both men were diagnosed with flu-like symptoms before they died. And although they was recognized as being dying of natural causes, family members informed authorities that there were similarities between the two of them. The officials exhumed Mr. Turner's body and did an autopsy, and found out that once they did in his bloodstream, they found a presence of oxalate crystals that form from the antifreeze. After investigators found that, they soon learned that she had called a local animal shelter prior to this, trying to inquire about the effects of how ethanol glycol poisoning and how it would affect human beings. Not human beings, animals, because she was trying to get rid of a stray dog. But immediately after that, they exhumed Mr. Randy Thompson's body and found he had the same thing in his bloodstream from the oxalate crystals, and basically she was charged with murder. She got life without parole for Mr. Turner's death. And once they found out she also did the same thing to Mr. Thompson, they was going to give her the death penalty, but the family members did not want her to be put to death, so she was turned. It was turned into life without possibility of parole. During her stint in prison, she, on August 30th, 2010, she took her own life. Basically, she took an overdose of blood pressure medicine, which was accumulated with a prescription medication with a blood pressure medicine, which killed her. So basically, she ended up killing herself as well. Like I said, my presentation was on female serial killer Lynn Turner, and I thank you.